Good morning, everyone. It is 10:34. We have a lot of information to get through, so let's go ahead and get started. My name is Deborah Lee, and I'm going to be your host and moderator this morning for workshop number 1. I hope everybody had a chance to get caffeinated or get hydrated. And we just want to get started. Workshop 1, we're going to be featuring navigating leisure travel trends and how they're shaping the future of travel. Again, this is workshop number 1, presented to you by the travel industry sales team. A couple of housekeeping items. Ali, could you go to the next slide, please? And the next one. Thank you. Actually, before we begin on a word to our sponsor, I just want to give a couple of housekeeping items. You will receive these slides, so you're welcome to take copious notes. However, no need to. We will provide this information to you, a little later on. And also, you will also receive the recording. If you have any questions, please utilize the chat function below for questions, and you may send those to my colleague, Joe DeCal. Finally, enjoy. Thanks for being here with us. Just want to begin our presentation by thanking our Expedia Group, who is our sponsor for this workshop. Alfredo?
Thank you, Deborah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. I'm gonna try and share my screen. Can you please just tell me when you guys see the Expedia Group logo? Do you guys see it?
Yes.
Awesome, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Deborah, for having me here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alfredo Tejeda. I am the area manager for the account management team in Miami that handles all the lodging relationship with all the hotels in the area, right? Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity of being a sponsor. And I wanted to start sharing with all of you a small video of our philosophy in Expedia Group.
Travel is a force for good. It brings people around the globe closer together, culturally, emotionally, physically. It opens our eyes, our minds, and our hearts. Travel makes people better. Travel makes the world better. But travel can be complicated, intimidating, and expensive, putting up barriers that make the world seem out of reach for far too many. We are here to clear the way, to make travel easier, more accessible, and more attainable, so that the world can keep charging forward. At the center of it all, we are the world's travel platform. We bring the world within reach. We are Expedia Group.
Excellent.
Well, again, thank you very awesome. I hope you like it. And thank you very much for having me again here. Just a few notes that I wanted to share with all of you of things that Expedia Group has been doing to try to help rebuild travel, as we call it. All of these brands that you see that actually Expedia Group have been working tremendously for the last few months, right? With all the passion, because there's one thing that we truly believe is that where there is life, there is travel. And we know that travel will be restored, right? And we have been committed since day one to help our partners and our mutual customers to reduce the impact that COVID-19 have brought into our lives. For that, the word is restore, restoring travel. And one thing that Nashara Frazier, our director, mentioned in the general session is that it needs to be done together. And Expedia is chiming in as much as possible, right? We have been introducing what we call some industry-wide destination rebound and property level relief global initiatives. Industry-wide, we're trying to help with information that we can get. And Ashara also mentioned the Expedia Group Academy that was launched a couple of months ago. Destination rebound, we're working with the CBB to highlight the beauties and the true attributes that Miami has to offer to the world, right? And finally, property level relief. A couple of weeks ago, we launched our relief program, helping partners not only revive travel, helping them revive demand, but also relieving them of certain things such as reduction in compensation, giving them credits to kind of highlight their attributes and increasing the visibility within our platform and within our channels, right? Before I leave, I just wanted to make one special highlight again, Expedia Group Academy, right? This is a particular program that was launched in a way to bring new skill sets to maybe for low travel industry workers and some small lodging partners, but pretty much everyone can join, right? We welcome anyone to join this particular program. It's free, absolutely free. Anyone can join. To do that, you can join the Expedia Group Academy LinkedIn group. You can ask me for information later, but I'm sure that this is going to help every single one of us improve ourselves, improve our businesses throughout these difficult times. Thank you very much, and glad to be here. I'll see you in a bit.
Thank you so much, Alfredo and the Expedia Group. Again, this workshop is brought to you by the Travel Industry Sales Group. Just want to go on to our next slide here, Ali, if we may. Who are we? So before we get our slide up, essentially the Travel Industry Sales Group at the GMCBB, we are responsible for connecting the global travel industry with the Bureau, providing travel industry professionals with easy access to the resources they need for planning, marketing, and selling Greater Miami and the beaches. We are led, I'm going to start from the bottom up instead. We're led by Gisela Marti, who is our Vice President for Marketing and Tourism. Jenny Leva is our Sales Coordinator. We have Joe DeCal, Director of Sales for the US and Latin America. Judith Patron, Director of Sales for Canada, Europe, and Asia. And I'm Deborah Lee, Director of Sales for US, Caribbean, Brazil, and the cruise niche. If you have any questions regarding this presentation or further want to communicate with us, best email to contact is traveltrade@gmcbb.com. Next, Ali. So we're going to begin our program shortly. Again, I mentioned we have an esteemed group of panelists here. Next, Ali, please. And I'd like to introduce them one by one, and then they'll in turn impart some important information and trends that we are seeing on the leisure travel side. First, we have Alfredo Tejada, who you met a few moments ago, but you'll get a chance to meet him in depth in a little bit more, from the Expedia Group. He's the area manager for South Florida. We also have Michael Ziegler, Director of Business Development, AAA Northeast Travel. Francis Mata, National Sales Manager for American Airlines Vacations. And Laura Parra, Area Contracting Manager for the Southeast for Hotelbeds. So certainly a variety of leaders on the leisure side of the business that we want to introduce to you and have them present what they're seeing from their perspective. So we're going to begin with Alfredo. Before we begin, just want to let you know Alfredo has been with Expedia for about 12 years, if you combine his years of service with Expedia as well as Orbitz. And he's also had many years in the hotel industry working for Hotelier Melia Resorts. So Alfredo, without further ado, I'd like to present Alfredo Tejeda of Expedia, who will present Expedia's outlook on the leisure travel trends.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Deborah. Again, long time no see. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Right. Again, right, there's a lot of big words that we have come up with for our presentations, right? Recovery was one, together was another one. Rebuilding is the one that I brought to you today, right? Rebuilding travel for the future. Without further ado, we move on. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so I'm sure you want to hear a little bit about what is it that we have seen in the past few months and what is it that we're seeing for the future, right? But we need to also look back and see what is it that it has cost us so far, right? These are the second quarter numbers that Expedia Group has been able to see so far, right? Top quarter, definitely. Now, the story, month by month, actually varies a lot, right? We started in April with a lot of cancellations, more than probably we could handle at the beginning. We had to make a lot of adjustments. We even saw around 90% decline year over year for the month of April, right? At the same time, we started seeing restrictions from authorities, executive orders, right? And remember, the executive orders, the way we see it, are probably the main catalyst of the volatility we have been able to see in the market so far. Then we started with airport closures, bans travel from Europe to the United States, Latin American airports closed, and some of them still remain closed. We then saw essential lodger mandates, right? And of course, South Beach hotels closed for a while. Now, in June, we started seeing reopenings happening, right? We saw a big recovery, actually, not, of course, of what we were used to be in the past, but people wanted to travel, right? June actually fell around probably 50% compared to last year. And we even saw a few weeks where we saw declines of 40%, 25%, right? Again, not as we expected or we saw in previous years, but definitely optimistic things compared to where we were coming in previous months, right? But then, of course, cases started rising, not only in Florida, but in other feeder markets. But particularly in Florida, then we saw the mandate of July the 4th, beach closures, and that probably was the point where we stopped seeing that increase. You can see it in the graphic and around June 8th, the second week of June, where we started seeing a little bit of a decline again. So again, remember, the volatility of executive orders are the main takeaway from the past. But now, one thing important to consider, and looking at it from the positive side, is that it seems that, demand looking to stay in Miami is very elastic and positive in a way, right? Once the restrictions are lifted, there is a considerable positive reaction from the travelers. How about for the future? I'm sure you're interested about this, right? Again, definitely impact unprecedented trends. We haven't seen them in the past. Declines for the next few months, a lot. Not even events like, for instance, Arbas or New Year's Eve are spiking. That's what we're seeing on our end, right? The two main takeaways I see from these is that the behavior has been mostly towards last minute, of course, right? But actually also advanced purchase, right? But far, far away advanced purchase. Last minute, pretty much known. A lot of local drive market, people planning what to do next, the next weekend, in a couple of weekends. A little bit more if you look at traditional holidays like Labor Day, for instance, in early September. That's where you see that little spike on this graphic. The rest seem pretty stable in terms of how much it is declining, right? Now, we can see that in March of 2021, and not shown actually on this graphic, we start seeing recovery. And this could be for many reasons, right? The couple that we have identified mainly is that people have been shifting their travel, even from previous months, even from early Q2 or Q1 to next year, right? Getting as far away as possible. And then, of course, also the international phenomenon. They're not able to travel right now here to the US. They're not able to travel to Miami. Airports are closed. There's still travel bans, right? But people want to travel. And what do we need to do here in Miami is to make sure that these people that want to travel, probably next year, probably later in this year, to come here to Miami. And believe me, there are other destinations that are trying to grab those travelers as well. So we need to make sure that they come to Miami. Cool. But what is it that we need to do? As always, listen to the customer, right? Again, restoring travel, we need to work for the future. For that, I want to quickly share a few tips we have been able to identify through a few customer researches that we have done in the last few months, right? No need to mention maybe, but health and safety measures are key to build the trust in the consumer, right? What your establishments are doing in regard to cleanliness, the procedures that your staff and even the guests need to follow. How are you handling your rooms and your area, your establishments? I know a lot of you are not only following these guidelines that have been given to us, but are going above and beyond to keep the consumer secure, right? I've been able to stay in a couple of hotels and believe me, they're going way more than what is being asked as just general guidelines, right? In terms of environmental hygiene, it is important to follow proper the cleanliness audits, right? They're all over the place now. Also, public displays of hygiene standards is important, right? There are few brands out there that have built their own standards and they're actually showcasing them all over the place so the consumer and the traveler can feel more secure. But it is key, again, it is key to inform these to the public, right? For instance, in our platform, hotels are able to list all of these efforts. What it is important to make sure to go into our platform and kind of click or check all of those measures that hotels are implementing so that the consumer, the guest, the potential guest knows about them and feels more comfortable about traveling to your hotel, staying in your hotel. On that note, information is invaluable, right? Knowledge, empowerment. Not only making sure the consumer has the information necessary to not only come to Miami, but to stay at your establishments, but also on the supplier side, it is important that we participate in webinars like these so we can understand what's going on out there, events, and using tools you have in hand, right? For instance, again, Expedia, in our market, in our platform, we have market insights that are given to all our partners. Make sure to leverage that information to make the proper strategies to help rebuild travel. But maybe the two most impactful ones that we have been able to see out there are advanced planning and flexibility, right? We know that business is last minute. We know that it's coming here, and there's a lot of things that we can do to make sure they can stay in your hotels, etc. But that's mostly domestic, mostly local demand, right? What we know, for instance, regarding advanced planning is that at least 60% of the people out there, they want to travel in the next 12 months. They're taking their time and booking far ahead. They might even already have their ticket. They may even have credit that they need to look to use in the next 12 months, right? Even in 2021, we saw it in the previous slides, right? In the past, we didn't look that much ahead, but we need to do that now, right? So the one thing that we recommend is for all the hotels out there is make sure that they have enough availability throughout the entire year of 2021, right? We envision that domestic business is probably going to start recovering in Q1, but international is going to take a little bit longer, right? Q3, Q4. But believe me, people are already seeking, and there's availability. The airlines are doing it, etc. Right? So we need to make sure that we have enough product in store for people to buy us. And how about flexibility, right? We know that it now matters more than ever, right? Offering flexibility such as free cancellations, waiving any cancellation fees, or even offering added values for the consumer to be able to rebook are things that are valued by the consumer, right? This makes the consumer feel valued, empowered, and most importantly, it makes it easier for them to make the decision and stay in one establishment or another. But most importantly, in Miami or somewhere else, right? We think that following these and other tips, we will be able to rebuild travel into Miami. But most importantly, we'll be able to do it together. Expedia Group is here to help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alfredo. Remember, folks, we want this to be interactive. So if you have any questions at all, please utilize the chat function. Send your questions to Joe DeCal, my colleague, and we'll be able to, go over those at the end. Thank you, Alfredo, for Expedia's perspective and trends and seeing what they're seeing as we're saying, I like to use anyway, post-COVID. Our next panelist will be Mr. Michael Ziegler. We wanted to get a variety of speakers on our panel. Michael has been with AAA Northeast for 4 years, but he has over 10 years working in the industry. Along with working at AAA, he's worked for Colette Vacations, and he's also owned his own travel agency. So certainly get Michael's perspective on Northeast East trend for Michael.
Thank you so much, Deborah. We really appreciate you guys inviting us and having us here. As Deborah had mentioned, I'm with AAA Northeast. I'm the Director of Business Development Strategic Partnerships. I've been with AAA for about 4 years, and we look at Miami and the greater state of Florida as a very key market for us here in the Northeast. And we see a lot of our travelers looking at Florida as one of their key first destinations to travel to. So us being here and talking to some of your members here of the CVB, it's a great opportunity for us. And so I find that we are all asking ourselves kind of the same question: what's next? What's next for me might be different than what's next for someone down the street, because we're all kind of asking that question: what do I do? Who do I talk to? Where should I go? What should I do? And so we here at AAA know that the biggest thing is there's a shift in the mindset for a lot of our travelers. And as our travelers start to look at, as our over 6.2 million members here in the Northeast start to look at where they want to go and what they want to do, their mindset is starting to shift from doing it on my own and going after hotels and booking it myself after what happened back in March and April with cancellations and them staying on the phone for hours and whether or not they got their money back and kind of fighting for themselves. We're finding that a lot of our members are starting to look more for trusted, financially secure brands, those that have kind of weathered this storm very well. And we here in the Northeast at AAA have actually weathered this storm fairly well, seeing as how we haven't had any layoffs or any furloughs. We here at AAA have become a very strong brand in our members' eyes, as well as our agents. With all the things that we've been talking about today, regarding safety, our agents need to be a source of reference. And so we're seeing that our agents are starting to become increasingly necessary in the wake of the COVID lockdown and as things are lifted. As we talk to our members and start to ask them questions about things that they're looking to go and where they're looking to go first, they know they do want to travel internationally again, but initially, much like many of the other destinations that we talk to, they want to start with the North American market first and traveling domestically. Florida and Miami being those key markets that we see coming back sooner as opposed to later. My colleague who's on this call as well, her name is Brooke. We talk to a lot of destinations out there. We, as part of our role here at AAA, we're destination marketing organization partners. And so we work with a lot of destinations, and a lot of destinations are saying, our travelers are going to stay domestic before they start traveling internationally. And North American travelers are the same way, especially us travelers here in the Northeast. Those travelers that we kind of see coming back first, are the luxury market. After every economic downturn, the luxury market, the younger travelers, the FIT travelers, we really see those markets coming back first. So a lot of the brands, a lot of the partners that we're looking for is, when do we start to get our messaging out there? When do we start to market ourselves again and start to promote? If you consider yourself, or if you're a luxury brand or a road trip brand or a younger, now is the time to kind of strike where that iron is hot. We're seeing a lot of our travelers, phone calls are increasing week over week, bookings are increasing week over week, and those travelers are the ones that are going to be the first to start moving. And they're also starting to move towards more traditional hotel stays. Those people that have historically started looking at Airbnb, the Airbnbs of the world, are really starting to look more towards hotels, because they're not sure how these property managers are really managing their properties to keep their travelers safe from COVID, from stay to stay, what they're doing to, disinfect and clean the property to make sure that the next traveler that stays there is staying in a safe and clean property. And as we start to talk to our members, I know that Alfredo talked about this for a moment, but we're finding that safety is the number one message that our members and the travelers here in the Northeast. We did a quick survey, and the number one consideration to traveling again is safety for all the travelers out there. So as we start to get our messaging out there, we here at AAA, but also with all of our partners that we have, whether it's, Hilton or Hyatt or any of the hotel partners that we have or destination partners like Disney and Universal, safety, regulations, requirements, their protocols, they're all integral parts of the travel planning process. And we all, as partners, as individual destinations, as individual partners, we all have our own different safety regulations that we use. And so we here in the Northeast are trying to do our part for our Northeast traveler by creating what we call our AAA Travel Center. Our AAA Travel Center focuses on all the things that our members, trying to get all the information for our members in one place, whether it's what individual destinations or hotels are doing to keep their members safe, what airlines and hotels are doing, what cruise companies are doing. It's no longer just about, as you can see, the products, but it's about the process. It's about the safety process. It's about what our partners are doing for our AAA members and our travelers to ensure that our travelers are safe. That's going to be their first thing that they're going to look for. In this travel center, where we congregate all this information, one of the key aspects of the travel center is what we've termed Smart Depart. Trying to get our members in the mindset of, what are the safety protocols in place and where can I go to get those safety protocols? What states are open? What states have regulations in regards to whether or not I can travel there? We've partnered and started working with Miami as well as the Greater Visit Florida to start partnerships to kind of get that information out to our members and to our travelers. Beyond that, though, we're still trying to encourage our travelers to think about travel. Although they might not be ready to travel now, we know that they're still dreaming. And all this information that we put within our AAA Travel Center really focuses on 3 pillars. We start with trust. We create a promise, and then we gear towards inspiration. And we encourage all destinations to kind of lean on what you do well, but also know that not every traveler is going to be ready to travel right now. Knowing that not every traveler is ready to travel, letting them know that you'll be ready when they are ready. That is such a key message that we're trying to let our travelers know, that even though you may not be ready to visit us or to travel with us, we're ready when you're ready. But in the meantime, we encourage our travelers to dream. Right now, a lot of destinations, a lot of organizations are pulling back, and we really feel at AAA, it's the destinations that are striking now, the ones that are getting their message out now, are the ones that are going to reap the rewards once the travelers start to move again, once they start to book. Because right now we're seeing increases in all of the numbers for Florida. One of the key membership visitation numbers that we tell all the time when we talk to Joe here in Miami or some of the Visit Florida people, 39% of our membership. So we have 6.2, that's roughly 2.2 million members that travel here from AAA Northeast to Florida for many, many different ways. And as of right now in 2020, 13% of our total travel sales for AAA Northeast are to Florida destinations. Whether it's, Miami, a lot of the sales are Disney in the parks, but some of them are going to Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Tampa Bay. I'm sure some of our football fans are going to see Tom Brady play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It almost hurts me to say that. But, our travelers are going down to Florida to visit your beautiful beaches. They're not looking to go necessarily to the big, crowded beaches. They're looking for those hidden gems and undiscovered locations, using these key phrases in some of the marketing materials that you use, looking to go off the beaten path is where a lot of our travelers here in the Northeast are looking for. They're really looking to kind of find the hidden gems where not everybody is, that they can easily more socially distance without necessarily having to be a part of the crowds as well. And so as we look to the road ahead, it's not looking as dreary as it was maybe 3 months ago. As we start to look at consumer sentiment and start to talk to our travelers here in the Northeast, find that 43% of our members are likely or somewhat likely to travel in 2020. So for those people that feel as though 2020 is a lost cause, that start focusing on 2021, there's still travelers that are looking to travel in 2020, whether or not that's a road trip or down to Florida. As the restrictions become lifted, that number jumps to 53% that will travel within 6 months of the lifted restrictions. And 62% are already considering their domestic or national travel. So when I say getting that message out, any travel decision starts with the messaging of inspiration. If I decide that I want to go somewhere, usually that's inspired by some message that I see. So since 62% of our members are considering domestic or national travel, that is a huge opportunity for you to get your message out there and start talking to the travelers throughout the Northeast and throughout the country. And again, another great number here that kind of shows 2020 is still not out of reach or is not a lost cause. You know, Q3 and Q4, 2020 departures here for us at AAA Northeast are still outpacing Q1 and Q2. So we're still seeing more bookings. We're still seeing more departures here in 2020 towards the end of the year than we are seeing in Q1 and Q2 of 2021. So for those of you, to give you a little bit of hope, we're seeing that our bookings are growing over 10% month over month. And we're seeing that the travelers are looking, especially in Florida, to continue to travel in 2020. So there's still that opportunity for you to get your, you know, storytelling through articles and video content to kind of get your messaging out there to our members, to the travelers. You know, right now is the time to start using social media to engage your travelers, to talk to agents. If you're a destination or a hotel, talk to them about what's the safety and protocol measures that you put into place. Get those messaging out there wherever information is gathered, like the AAA Travel Center. You know, get your information on those travel center networks. So that way your travelers that are interested in visiting Miami know what exactly not only Miami is doing, but the hotels and the attractions and the destinations here in Miami, what they're doing to keep travelers safe. And you'll slowly start to find yourself climbing on that, you know, bucket list of destinations where our travelers will start to want to go in the Northeast. The more you can get your word out there, the more you can get your name out there as a safe destination that's off the beaten path and really looking towards the future, the more that you'll see that as the travel comes back, you'll start to reap rewards. So I hope I didn't go over my 8 minutes, Deborah. I wanted to say thank you all. And I look forward, if you have any questions, any future questions, my contact information is there. I'm more than happy to answer any questions or help. And thank you so much. And I look forward to answering any questions at the end.
Michael, even if you went over time, that was just hopeful information.
Thank you.
Wonderful pieces of news. Excuse me, as Michael mentioned, you know, travel bookings are growing, folks. There is hope. There is hope. And, you know, Michael, since you haven't yet traveled post-COVID, once the restrictions are lifted, please make Miami your first destination post-COVID travel.
It'll be top of the list.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving along to our next panelist, we have Ranzis Mata. Again, Ranzis is from American Airlines Vacations, and Ranzis is actually celebrating his first year anniversary with AA Vacations this month. So happy anniversary, Ranzis, when that comes.
Thank you.
Although he does have 16 years in the industry, primarily with the airlines, we certainly want to get the perspective from the tour operator, airline, perhaps, side, which would really be beneficial, I think, to our listeners or attendees.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, Deborah, for the invitation and for being at this great panel. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about you know, what we're doing on the, and it's going to be more geared to the airline, because I feel that one of the key aspects here is addressing concerns about air travel. And you know, I can give you a very brief story. I actually traveled a couple of weeks ago, and we traveled internationally, and my wife was kind of shocked because the plane was full. Where we were going, the plane was completely packed, and she was freaking out, like, what are we doing? There's no distancing here. So that got us, you know, both of us looking for information, and we found out about the safety of the on aircraft and how the air filtration on not only American Airlines but all the airlines across the system. It purifies the air. The system that we use is actually the same one that hospital use on their infections room. So the reality is that the air on board an aircraft is safer than your supermarket, and that's the bottom line with that. So, you know, I think addressing concerns, and I know Alfredo and Michael have talked about, you know, peace of mind and safety and getting that message out. And I think we're going to touch on some of that during my quick presentation. I'm probably not going to use my 8 minutes, so let me just go ahead and share it real quick here. So, well, my name is Ranzis Mata. I've been with American Vacations for about a year, and as Deborah said, about 16 years in the airline industry overall. So, you know, what was pre and post COVID. And I think Alfredo and Michael have given us a lot of excellent data around what was looking like. And for us, it was about the same. We started with a great year. The first 2 months of the year were pretty strong. We were seeing a lot of demand, both international, domestic. Miami was doing great for us as well. And then, as we all know, COVID happened. So we had a major slowdown within the months of March and April as well. And around May, we started to shift. And this was a decision that we made in our, internally on the vacation side. We wanted to be a more, change a little bit the messaging and give the travel advisor community, which is the one that I work closer with, give them a message like, hey, you have to put something out there that is safe for your customer. Have the opportunity. We saw that Alfredo showed some data around, the average ADR going down, and this is kind of across the industry. So all of those dream vacations are actually closer to you than when they were in the past. So, maybe look at this. And we started to see a uptick for third quarter and fourth quarter, just like Alfredo and Michael said, some of that was trickling in. And the airline itself, we were seeing the same thing. We were going in the right path. Things were starting to pick up. So around June, we actually had a very strong month on a year-over-year basis. And then we had the kind of like the second wave. But here's the thing, demand is there. We do know people want to travel. It is my personal humble opinion that not only the fact that you're home, because we all know that being at home, working from home, is going to make people want to travel more. But I think that it's going to make people travel more often, maybe less days. That's, again, my opinion, because you're going to have people that are going to be working from home throughout the year, right? Especially now that you may have some people that are going to keep their kids not going to school. They're going to be working. They're going to be doing school remotely and working remotely. So they're going to have those short escapes, those weekend getaways are going to be more often. So instead of you seeing somebody going, 7 days, 10 days, those might be 3-4 days, but they may be more often now because we want to get out and see the world as we are cooped up at our home. So, and the proof that demand is there, I think both my previous colleagues on the panel kind of addressed that. And from the airline side, we saw the same thing. We're still seeing good numbers for later portion of the third quarter, but fourth quarter starts to pick up. And when it comes to actual searches for, let's say, spring break of 2021, on a year-over-year basis is actually way higher when it comes to searches. Looking at the same snapshot, 19 versus 20 and 20 versus 21, people want to get out. So how do we get them there? From the airline side, what we're doing is that we're creating that message of confidence, right? So we have created what is called a clean commitment at American Airlines, and we have partnered with different medical boards to create a program and a process that I'll go in detail after this slide, that it's going to create that confidence for the traveler. And we know that there's a lot of drive up market to Florida, but we have a major hub in Florida. This is one of our key strategic points. So we're in charge to hopefully bring a lot of those visitors in, and this is how we're doing it. We're creating a protocol that people will feel safe traveling. We have hands are cleaning protocols. We are demanding the mask, being worn on board the aircraft, and we're going the extra mile with this. And I can tell you that we've had added people to the no-fly list because of not wearing masks. So this is all the airlines are taking this very, very seriously, and we are not letting this slide. And if you do not comply and you decide to take off your mask on board the aircraft, we actually saw a competitor of ours this week, Delta, kind of turn around a plane because somebody took the mask in midair, and they said that they were not going to use it. So they just brought the plane back around. I anticipate some of us doing just about the same because this is super serious for us. And then we're putting a little bit of the responsibility on the customer as well, on the travel, and saying, hey, a symptoms checklist. This is something that is being, American was the kind of the first one that rolled this out, and some other airlines are implementing it as well, where we ask the customer, like, you know, hey, do you feel safe? Do you feel okay for travel? Have you had the symptoms, and have you traveled to any hotspots in the last few weeks? So a lot of that is happening. And another thing we're doing is giving flexibility, as Alfredo was saying, it's key to this whole thing. So we actually let the customer know how full their aircraft is going to be, and if they want to change it, we're fine. We'll let you change your aircraft, your ticket, no cost to you. If you don't feel comfortable flying on a full aircraft, we're providing the hand sanitizers on board the aircraft for you to do that extra cleaning. But we are taking super, extensive measures to make sure these aircrafts are completely clean. And one last thing that we rolled out at the beginning of last week is the keyless, the touchless kiosk. So now you use your phone and you show it to the kiosk. There's a QR code that the kiosk reads, and it prints out your bags. It prints out your boarding pass, so that you only just remove the tag and the boarding pass if you want it from the machine, so you don't have to touch it. So avoiding those touchy areas to kind of prevent the virus from spreading. And then a quick overview, and this information is available, both what I show you and this information, they are both available at the newsroom from American Airlines, so aa.com/newsroom, or the global sales side for American Airlines, so globalsales.com /American Airlines. You will find all these information there if you want to get acquainted, because this is a work for all of us to kind of create the awareness. Like, it's safe to travel, come in, visit Miami, fly in with American. They're taking the extra step. So across the different areas, what we're doing to make you feel safe. And as you can see here, from the ticket counter with the plexiglass to the security, where there is plexiglass for the TSA reps. We're working closely with the TSA to make sure that they are complying with this. The lounges, we're cleaning it just as often as we're cleaning the aircraft, and doing social distancing within it as well. In the gate areas, we have the plexiglass, we have the staff wearing masks, we have the gloves, and then on the pre-flight, as soon as you enter the aircraft, the filtration system that I mentioned earlier, it's filtering that air every 2 to 4 minutes. That air gets recirculated in the aircraft, and it's a newer, safer air than what you had in your supermarket or your mall. And then on board seating, we're always cleaning and using electrostatic disinfectant. So that's that spraying disinfectant. What we've heard the term fogging. That's what it means. We just clean out with kind of a sprayed disinfectant, which is hospital grade as well, that we use on board it, so people feel safe, and especially in those high touch areas, meaning the air vents and the buckles. So across the journey, we're making sure that people are safe, they feel safe, and this is what's going to bring that demand back. And one thing that we are doing that it's helping us really, it's working very well for us, and they're talking about the flexibility that Alfredo was talking about. We have the pre-departure protection, we have actually discounted at 50% to stimulate that demand. So in order for us to kind of contribute to people getting traveling again or thinking about travel, we have put out the pre-departure protection, and that goes back to saying, hey, if you decide to travel, or if you're considering travel, if you put this insurance into this particular package, this is going to make it fully refundable for you. So that flexibility, that peace of mind portion is what's actually driving sales for American, and it's working well. So that's why I kind of put the slide in here, because it's like, this is a true testament that if you put that flexibility, if you convey that message, just think about it. Your exposure is minimal. Be open, consider it that things are closer than what they used to be before. So using that kind of flexibility is working well for us. We actually had a very strong month in sales in June, and this was the main driver behind that. And we're going to continue working with our partners in Miami, in the Miami-Dade area. We have a large footprint in there, as we all know. Our hub in Miami, it's a hub that we use to not only for the end traffic in Miami, but also to flow customers into mostly Caribbean, Mexico, and Latin America. And this is a key destination for us itself, but also it's a flow destination. So we're definitely making sure that our presence is there. We have over 10,000 employees in the area, so it's a very dear to our hearts destination that we are working close with, and making sure that our presence is there. In the airline, looking at the airline side of it, as long as we get things where they're going, going down, the case are going down, which is great information. We feel that destinations, close destinations like Miami, when I mean close to Dallas, it's our markets that we expect to be bouncing back quickly, because when talking about demand and trends in the airline side, the expectation for us is that domestic was going to be, and it has been, what is carrying the revenue bringing into the company. So domestic is something that we are betting on heavily. And then if you look at domestic, the expectation is that the leisure markets are going to be the ones rebounding the fastest. So that's where Miami becomes a key strategic partner to us in that sense, because we know domestic and we know leisure is going to carry the torch. And to put it in context, in a regular time, we will be very heavily focused on the, as much as the leisure on the corporate side. But as we all know, kind of corporate travel has come to a standstill right now. So that leisure component is really key, and that's why we're excited to be here, being a partner with our friends of Miami-Dade, and looking forward to working closer and bringing more travelers into the destination. So help us get that message out. Traveling is safe. Take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. Use the insurance that are out there, so that you can you put something down on it, and if anything happens, it's fully refundable. Your exposure is very minimal. So I think those are kind of like the key topics, and I know that our friend of Michael kind of touched on all of that before as well. So really good messaging there, and I hope it works for all of us. So happy to address any questions at the end. And thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Ramses. Thank you so much. So folks, yes, we can definitely be assured, rest assured, American Airlines, or hometown airline, is working very, very hard to provide that commitment to cleaning, the flexibility, all of the things that you're looking for. I do have a couple of questions, but I want to make sure that we have our last but not least presenter, Laura Potter from Hotelbeds, to present her information to us, and then we will certainly try to get to the questions at the end. If not, we will respond to the individuals that, and we'll have that information for you. So without further hesitation, Laura, please go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. More like good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank Gisela and her team for inviting me to be a panelist and just share the information that we're seeing. As you all know, we're a global company, so I have a little bit of information to share from the domestic side of things. And then, as I'm sure that some of you guys are very eager to hear, I have some information as well as some data that we've gotten from international markets, but mostly international markets that impact Miami as a destination. This is some of the industry trends that we're seeing by Hotelbeds. This is the data that we actually pulled last month, so it's basically fresh off the press. So we're looking at basically recovery from the domestic market versus international market, and then primary destinations versus secondary destinations. We'll look at some of the ADR metrics, the average stay and lead time, and then we'll be looking at what is it that's being booked by the customers, not just for 2020, but also looking into 2021. As some of you guys are already aware and painfully aware from what's happened due to COVID-19, the industry has been extremely affected by this virus. So while international travel is down, 69%, luckily for us, domestic travel is only down about 21% in North America. So on the international side of things, we've actually been, hit tremendously because of all the travel bans that have been put in place. So the first thing that we're expecting to recover, and, as already spoken by my previous colleagues presenting, domestic is basically going to be the way of recovery, looking, towards at least the rest of 2020 and maybe even into Q1 for 2021. So, without, further ado, we know that right now the borders for Argentina, the borders for Brazil, borders for Canada, Mexico are still closed. And even, some of the borders from the UK and some of the European countries. So, this is just a bit of information. So what are the type of destinations that we're actually seeing right now? So from April to at least June, we were seeing massive recovery in Florida, just because we're blessed to have the beaches here. Some of the destinations where we were seeing faster recovery were the secondary and tertiary destinations. So we were looking at, Daytona, St. Pete, Naples, Fort Myers. These destinations were actually trading positive from our side and actually beating numbers that we had from last year. So it was really great. And as a matter of fact, Miami was actually seeing really, really early signs of recovery. And then that just stopped probably mid-June when we had the second spike with COVID. So we know that hopefully once we get through this hurdle, there will be demand. Because we saw it before, the recent spike that we just had. So as shared, by Alfredo, we've seen a massive decrease in ADR. Our lead time has actually decreased tremendously as well, and the average stay. For Hotelbeds, being an international company, and that's what we're normally known for, we've seen a huge, huge decrease in the lead time. Whereas, within the domestic market, because we do have key domestic clients that were still driving that business. Our lead time used to be 30 to 45 days, from the domestic market. Our lead time is actually looking at 0 to 3 days out. Whereas before it only represented about 0 to 3 days out, only represented about 14% of what we used to do in such a short period of time. Right now it's actually representing 43% of the traveler right now. Our average length of stay has actually decreased tremendously too. Last year, we were looking at 3.5, and then this year we're actually down to 1.9. So again, because we are kind of looking at that recovery for the domestic market, our average length of stay has decreased. What we're seeing as far as demand from our clients, we really are not seeing much of a difference. We're seeing that resorts are being booked, hotels are being booked, and then apartments, again, there's really no difference in the demand that we're seeing, whether you have room only or if you have a bed and breakfast. We have seen a bit of an increase as far as bookings going for chains. So for example, if you have Hilton hotels or if you have Marriott, and I think a lot of that has to do with the cleanliness guidelines that they're putting in place, which make customers feel safer to travel and just check into these hotels. And then, we're seeing not a big difference between business versus, vacation hotels, meaning, when we would be looking at, for example, Brickell versus the beach, I think probably we might see faster recovery for the Brickell type of hotels rather than the beach, just because if the bars reopen, people may be a little bit hesitant to go over there, and they'll feel a little bit more safer staying within the Brickell downtown areas. As mentioned by everybody on here, safety and cleanliness is absolutely a must for our clients. 76% of our hotels that are currently being booked are safe to stay, which is basically you guys go into our website and you fill out basically all the requirements that we're needing, you know, how often you guys are cleaning the rooms, some of the measures that are being taken, if you're practicing social distancing, whether masks are being required to be worn by the passengers. So this is something that is really important for all the hoteliers that are partnered with Hotelbeds to make sure that it's up to date, because these are the hotels that we're actually seeing the business going to. And we're also making sure that you guys are basically following the state guidelines. And as you guys can see on the graph here, most of the searches that have hotels qualified as safe to stay are the ones that are actually being searched the most and booked the most. So basically with domestic recovery, again, there is a bit of a decreased demand on primary destination, and then are what's being booked. However, I think that once we basically normalize a little bit of the COVID spike in Miami, I believe that Miami will start seeing that shift in business that we were seeing about 2 months ago. The ADR is expected to be below past levels for over the next 12 months or so. As I mentioned, lead time is shifting to last minute just because our travelers are not really sure what's going to happen in the future. There is a demand for cheaper properties, but as I'm seeing in Miami, because of the lower ADR and rates and promos that, you know, your 4-star hotels are putting, we're actually seeing and maintaining that 3.5 to 4-star hotels that are being booked by our clients. And then flexibility is a must. Our demand for non-refundable rates has decreased to about, you know, only 5%. Everything else is just being flexible. This is what our passengers want, again, because of the uncertainty of the future. So flexibility from our hotel partners is absolutely key. And then obviously, you know, your safety and cleanliness has to be a priority, because that will make our passengers be at ease of mind. So if you guys would like to capture some of the business that we can give you as Hotelbeds, you know, for the remainder of 2020, what we would need from you guys to help with the recovery and to drive demand to your properties is definitely, you know, lower cutoffs, last minute availability, and then obviously aggressive pricing and promos. So just a reminder here of who exactly do we have as partners and who is it exactly that's booking right now for Hotelbeds on the domestic side of things. 2 key components would be our travel agents, which come through our brand, which is Beds Online. And as a matter of fact, we're doing a lot of webinars and we're inviting many travel agents. Our colleague, Joe, actually joined us about a month and a half ago with Beds Online, and we actually presented Miami as a destination and presented hotels in Miami. We had a very positive response from that. And then our next one would be our loyalty, employee, and point plans. These are the clients that are currently booking with us the most. As we know, with the current status of the economy and again, the uncertainty, a lot of people are very hesitant to go in and book vacations, even if the pricing is actually very competitive. We're actually seeing that most of the bookings here are coming from, you know, the rewards, you know, the credit card points and everything. And we do partner with these clients. So most people will be using their miles or the points or their rewards. So this is something that we're seeing as far as the recovery market. And then obviously Hotelbeds partners with over 40 airlines, international airlines and domestic airlines, and obviously with over 3,500 tour operators, which represent a key part for our international clients. So here's some information that I've gathered for international markets. We're actually seeing the possible trends through the end of this year and to mid-2021. Before Brazil had their spike also happen, we were actually seeing a lot of rebound from the Brazilian market until the travel ban was put in place. As of right now, it looks like the travel ban will be until the end of August. So hopefully, you know, within the last 2 weeks of August, we can actually start seeing some of that comeback from the Brazilian market. I'm hoping and crossing our fingers that, you know, airlines will be allowed to fly into Miami. Right now, because of the uncertainty of when the travel bans, if they will be extended, if they will not be extended, the key focus for the tour operators that we work with in Brazil and Argentina are just focused on selling 2021 check-ins. So when we look at the 2021 check-ins, it can be anywhere from, you know, January all the way through December. And as a matter of fact, we are actually seeing bookings all the way, you know, to September, October, November of next year, which is really good, which helps you build that base. Right now, you know, Brazil is facing a bit of a devaluation, about 30% more today than it was at the same time last year. And as you guys are all aware, the Brazilian market is extremely price sensitive. So they will be looking at booking those hotels that are, you know, very price conscious for them. Again, this is across all markets, not domestic, but basically everywhere in the world. Health and safety initiatives are extremely important. So again, please guys, just make sure that you log into hotelbeds.com and you fill out your health and safety, because we're finding if hotels are not safe to stay, which is what we're branding you, the clients are not booking. So it's really important, especially if you are trying to start building that base into 2021. Again, there is very low demand even from the international markets for non-refundable. Right now, everybody is looking for flexible rates. Argentina as a source market, again, it went from before 23% being non-refundable. Now they're just looking at 13%. But in the past couple weeks, 60 days, the average actually dropped to only 4% at only looking at for non-refundable rates. Right now, Argentina has commercial flights banned until September 1st. So right now they are planning to come, but we're not really seeing the bookings yet. However, in the last 3 weeks, we've actually seen a spike in our searches for Miami as a destination. So that just tells me, and we're in communication with our sales team, that people are starting to plan their vacation. And again, same as Brazil, I think we will start seeing a spike in bookings from the Argentinian market, probably, you know, in about 2 weeks, or at least the last week of August, we'll start seeing some of that demand coming back, which is really positive news, considering that Brazil and Argentina are two key markets into Miami. So here's some of the Brazilian market trends that we have. Again, because of the ban, obviously, post-COVID, the lead time has actually increased by a lot. So, you know, whereas before, you know, the lead time from the Brazilian market could have ranged from anywhere from, you know, 30 days to, you know, 77 days. Now it's actually over 122 days. They're booking 3 to 4 star hotels. That actually hasn't changed pre or post-COVID. And their actual, the average length of stay has actually increased for next year. So whereas before it was 2.69 days, now we're looking at 2.82 days. When we look at the Argentine market, again, longer lead times due to the flight bans to the US. So whereas before we had 59 days, post-COVID, it's actually extended tremendously to over 221 days. But again, I think that once the flights start resuming into Miami, we'll see this lead time actually shorten, exactly what we have right now that we're looking at. Again, with them, they're booking 2 to 5 star hotels, but we're seeing that the demand is actually for 3 to 4 star hotels. So this is where we're seeing the majority of the bookings that we're seeing for next year basically center in. And the average length of stay has basically stayed the same for the Argentinian market. Before it was 4.37, and now we're just looking at 4.30. So not much of a difference right here. And again, the average lead time in the past 60 days has been because of the current situation. But as I said, I think that we'll start seeing the market come back within the next couple of weeks. When we look at the European markets, and I really wanted to focus in the UK market because it's one of the top markets for Miami for hotel beds. We looked at 56% of the bookings that were made in the last 2 weeks have been for arrivals for July and September. Now, as everybody knows, Europe as a continent has been able to travel kind of like domestic travel here. So the recovery for Europe has been faster. Because of the situation in the USA, there's been a little bit more of a setback in the bookings that we're seeing for next year. However, if we look at, May, we're actually having the highest book to arrival month, with Miami being in the top 5 destinations into the USA. And then same thing for April, it was the second highest book to arrival month. And then same thing and followed by June 2021. So again, as I was mentioning, the recovery from Europe and the UK is looking to be a little bit slower. However, we're in constant communication with our counterparts in these countries and with the sales team. And the clients are asking for travel into USA, and mainly, Miami, Orlando as key destinations. So there is demand. It's just, again, people are just scared to book right now because of the current situation. I think a huge opportunity that will be coming up would be for the month of September. That is one of the key booking points for the UK market, is the actual second highest booking month of the year. And then the first one would be Boxing Day, which is December 26th. But in September alone, 30% of the vacation from the UK is actually booked for the year. And the travel window can vary. So from anywhere from January until probably, December of next year. So if, you're looking to capture some of that UK business, I would absolutely encourage you to start looking at some, promos for the UK market. And same thing, the booking types that we're seeing post-COVID is 91% flexible and 9% only with non-refundable, as were before. Pre-COVID, 65% was flexible and 35% was non-refundable. And the UK, as all you may be aware of, is extremely, extremely tough market when it comes to health and safety. So not only we want to make sure that your health and safety forms are actually up to date, but same thing, the stay to save forms are also filled out, because you have big companies like Virgin or British Airways that will not sell a hotel if you don't comply with the rules that they have. So here are some of the UK and European market trends. The lead time before, we had it at 65 days. Post-COVID, we're looking at about 178 days. Category basically remains the same, so 3.5 hotels and up. The average length of stay did decrease a bit. Before into Miami was around 4.27 days, and then now we're looking at 3.97 days. So what can you do, and how are we helping to fuel the recovery? We have a domestic focused portfolio, so we really are partnering up with our rewards and our loyalty clients. We are doing webinars. We are teaching them to make sure that not only with the destination, but we are also doing virtual webinars with hotels, so they can present their hotels to travel agents. It is really important that you guys as hoteliers have increased flexibility. As everyone knows, right now it's a little bit of a tricky time, and passengers just want to know that if they need to cancel, because if there is another spike or anything like that, they're able to cancel without any cancellation fees. We have recovery promotional campaigns. So as our friends at Expedia are doing, we're also doing recovery partnerships as well. So, we will also be rolling out these programs, which will help your hotels as well to get some of the marketing. We want to make sure that your competitiveness is increased, make sure that you guys are positioned correctly, making sure that you guys have important data. So we will be providing you with that information. And then again, we want to make sure that everybody is certified as safe to stay, because this is something that is extremely important. And again, we're doing co-op destination marketings. Again, we've partnered with the Miami CVB. We're partnering with other CVBs to make sure that we're continuously doing promotional campaigns for destinations and hotels. And obviously, as a company, we want to keep you informed. We want to make sure that you guys are receiving our newsletters or any important information about any clients that we have. And then some of words of advice here, just don't wait until recovery. Don't wait until you see demand coming back. I think that right now would be the perfect time for you guys to start taking action, through the end of this year, I would say from October onwards, because as we all know, there are certain hotels that have remained closed until the end of August. I would look at October onwards for you guys to maybe put promos in place or start getting aggressive. Make sure that you guys are creating the demand, not only for short term, but midterm and then long term. We're happy to hear about any strategies. We're happy to share any strategies that we may have. We want to make sure that you guys are capturing the market share that we have. And then obviously we want to support you and in any case that we can. So we want to reinvent. So Hotelbeds has adapted to the new landscape. And then we just ask you to join us in the recovery. And before I go, we are actually doing what we call roundtable sessions, which we're inviting industry leaders and some of our top clients. And we're basically doing something very similar where we're sharing market trends. We're sharing, or our clients are actually sharing what they're seeing from their perspective. They're very informative. So I would like for you guys to register to join us. It's every Wednesday. So we have one coming up on August 26th. So it'll be great for you guys to join. I'll go ahead and share the link with Gisela so she can share it with you all. And I do have a video that I would like to share if possible.
The world we knew changed in a blink of an eye. It's forced us all to stop and reevaluate what's important and what is the priority. But through it all, one's passion to explore, discover, and experience the world through travel remains as strong as ever. Now, as we are getting ready for the recovery, and though all still is not clear, we know you need a partner that works with you, not against you, that keeps you moving forward. Our global teams are working around the clock to implement important initiatives that will fuel the recovery and to give you the tools you need to rise again. 1. A domestic-focused portfolio. As the demand for domestic travel is increasing, so is our product coverage. 2. Increased flexibility. From now on, guests will be seeking peace of mind when booking, so we are working with our hotel partners to offer more fully refundable rates. 3. Recovery promotional campaigns. Our promotional campaigns are designed so the right audience gets the right product to match demand as corridors begin to recover. 4. Increasing your competitiveness. To stay ahead of the curve, you need to be up to date with the latest news and data. We are launching webinars so you can stay on top of trends, as well as new marketing solutions to increase your visibility and reach. 5. Increase safety. In a post-COVID-19 world, we are making it easy for hotels in our portfolio to showcase the health and safety protocols they are following. 6. New API and self-service tools. Operate with increased visibility and efficiency through our new API portal and online self-service tools. Nobody knows what the future holds, but whatever happens at Hotelbeds, we are with you all the way. And now, we will get you ready to go again.
All right, thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, I guess we'll wait for them.
Thank you so much. Indeed, thank you. This valuable pieces of information, Laura. And again, folks, I realize we're way over time. And in the interest of time, we do have a couple of questions, which I will direct to the individual panelists, and we will get the answers. And once we send the slides, as well as you'll have the recording as well, we will make sure that we address all of those questions that you have. Just really want to thank again our panelists, Alfredo Tejeda of Expedia Group. And again, thank you, Alfredo, for the sponsorship. Mike Ziegler from AAA Northeast, Francis Mata, American Airlines Vacations, as well as Laura Parra. Thank you all so very much. we went way over time, and I apologize because I do like to always recognize folks' time, but I think that we can all agree that the information shared was extremely valuable. Again, we are our goal is to restore travel together with the safety protocols, to communicate those. Now is the time, as we heard in Laura's presentation. So folks, thank you so much for joining us. I'll leave you with a little quote that I was one of my favorites, especially during this time. Difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. The best is yet to come. So with that, again, thank you to Expedia Group, and thanks for joining us.